All right, so what's good, people? Today we're going to talk about the Bridgeport Knife Company BodeyLL. I don't really know why it's called that. It sounds like some guy's name from some 90s California TV show, about teenage kids and their problems. Or maybe Broly from Dragon Ball Z, if anybody's a DBZ fan. But either way, this is a phenomenal looking knife, in my opinion. It looks good. It looks like a heavy user with a nice deep dark acid wash on the handles and on the blade. All the deployment methods work fantastically on it. It's got amazing lock bar access. So if you wanted to know off gate, this thing is worth the price of admission. So it's $150. It's 14C 28N. It's 7.5 inches overall, and it's 3.7 ounces, and it's an inset liner lock. It's a stainless steel inset liner lock. The hardware's titanium. This is titanium backspacer, titanium clip. Clip actually works really good. I was kind of worried. It looked like it was going to be a little tight, but it goes into my work pants just fine. And then this is nice and rounded, so it's not sharp, which I know some people I think had complained about on the prototype, but I don't have any problems with it. And in hand, this thing's a dream. The choke up spot works wonderfully. It's almost like a semi trigger pull, but not really. The jimping is super functional, so it locks me in place really good. And just ergonomically, it's super comfortable, even though it's completely flat scales. I think the clip is a little contoured. Yeah, just a little bit. It's got this super nice, like, milled pattern around the heavy chamfer that runs along all the edges, which is one of the reasons why it feels so good in hand. And then this nice deep stone wash on here. Same way on the blade. And I've already cut with this thing, and it holds up really well. I'll show you here in a minute why I say that. But look at the plunge grind too. It's phenomenally done. It's just done exceptionally well. You can see how thin it stays down through there. So sharpening this thing's going to be super nice. Kubi runs their 14C 28N at 60 to 62. And Kubi's the OEM on this, by the way. And so their 14C, like, I have it on my Titius and some other knife by them. I have it on, the Silo, and it's held up really well on both of those models. And I've already cut with this, and the blade geometry on it is super nice. It's even got a crowned spine on it, it feels really nice, if you get your hand up past the jimping on here, especially if you're going to do like a pinch cut on it. It just feels really good. Like I said, the lock bar access is pretty amazing, and it's got the nice milled texture on there to give you just you can't even really feel it, but you see how it's like chamfered back right there? It just makes it so nice to disengage. And then if you want to, instead of letting it come down and hit your nail, you can actually catch it on the tang right there. I don't know if you can see it, but right there. And that's actually past the detent ball. So if you catch it right there, you don't have to worry about it coming down and hitting your nail. And it's past the detent because the detent's really early. So there's detent. Can't quite see the tang of that blade yet. We go just a little bit further, and there's the tang. So if you kind of wedge your thumb up in here where it naturally kind of wants to go, you'll catch that tang every time just right and not have to worry about it smacking you in the nail. And this thing did come with a really nice detent, but for my preferences, it was just a touch light. So when I took it apart and KPL'd the bearings inside, I tightened it up just a smidge. I mean, just a smidge of a didge. Just barely pushed it over. And you can see we're probably at like 40 to 40, because the lock bar insert will be a little bit over to the left of what you're seeing right there. So probably 40, but it's like perfect now. All the deployments work great. The front flipper works great. The rollover's fantastic on it. I suck at doing the over the top like this, but I can do it on this knife no problem. The back flipper's super nice. I usually hate back flippers like this that are like this low profile type thing, But this one sticks out enough to where it's not just this super low, and it's actually above the pivot enough to where it's just really satisfying to do the light switch on. You can't really push button it because the front flipper will come around and get you. You know, it knocks you out of the way if you try to, or it'll just slam into you. But yeah, it's really satisfying. The thumb flick's good on it. The reverse flick's money on it. It's just all the deployments work really well. And then you couple that with the ergos, the fact that it's an inset liner lock, just the way it looks, you know, this nice dark deep stonewash finish on it, and then the price, you know, $150. If you pre-ordered it, you got it for $140, I think. It's got a reversible clip with a tab, you know, filler tab inset on it, so it actually looks decent. But if left-handed people want to carry this, they can. It'd be a great left-handed knife. I'm not usually great at flicking knives with my left hand, but I can do it no problem with this one. You know, it's just a great knife. It's so well done. Let's measure blade stock thickness, and then behind the edge is really nice. Blade stock I think was 11. Yeah. And then behind the edge I want to say it was like 14.5. There's 15, if I can get it where it needs to be, 15.5. $13.5, 14, and that's like right behind edge termination. So yeah, it's really slicey. It slices really good. Move this out of the way. So I brought us out another piece of cardboard here. Kind of hard to cut behind the camera. If I can make it a little smaller here. Let's see. Damn it. Let me make it even smaller. Yeah, but you can see. And then because it's an inset liner lock like that, you don't have to worry about, you know, the lock bar, like putting pressure on the lock bar if it was like a frame lock or anything like that. And this coating actually holds up really well. I was kind of concerned because I have, where is it? I brought it out for this specific reason. Here it is. So I have the Velvet Snake from Kubi, and this is supposed to have basically a acid stone washed blade like this does, but it just, I'm just not sure what they did on this finish. But this is literally, I broke down like 2 or 3 boxes, and I haven't used it since then because I know it's going to fudge up the blade real bad if I do. But it just, and I can't wipe this off. This won't wipe off. I've tried. But you can see this one just doesn't do that. So it's like they maybe left it in the acid a little longer. Or I'm just not really sure. You know, I'm not really sure. But the handle looks like the exact same finish almost. I mean, the Velvet Snake is a great knife, in my opinion. If you can get it for, you know, right at $200, which is what I paid for mine. But you can see it's pretty similar in size. And I meant to say, too, the hardware on this is titanium. So all the hardware is titanium, but the inset liner lock is stainless steel. And then again, another, so this is a clone of the McNeese, but again, it's similar. You know, this one on this fake McNeese holds up super well. But you can see we're very similar size comparison here. The McNeese is a little bit bigger, but it's pretty close. Same way with the SPK Lamia clone. I love the SPK Lumia clone. And this knife reminds me of it a whole lot. Except for it has a way better detent and more deployment methods. So you got the front flipper and the back flipper along with the blade hole. And because the detent is better, it's just all around better than this knife in my opinion. Of course, this was only half the price, you know, at $70. So, you know, but again, it's stolen design, all that good mess, you know, that you get with a clone or a counterfeit, however you want to look at it. Another phenomenally well priced knife, the Asher Spiro. This one's in 20 CV, and the blue twill, almost identical in size. Just, these are two great fucking users, both at great price points. This was like 140, this is 150 now. And these are still in stock, by the way, the Bridgeport. They have a black wash blade with black hardware, or they have this version right here. Both of them look good in my opinion. But yeah, this is a great user, the Spiro. And you can see like blade stock thickness is comparable. I would say it's a little thicker on here, but behind the edge is very similar. And then let's maybe do a couple of kubies. So this is a great kubi in itself right here. The Momentum, probably one of my favorite kubies that I have now. It's going to be bigger. Yeah. Except for the blade finish, but still just a great knife. And then we have the Devo Fireball, which this is made by Kubi as well. It's very similar in size. Yeah, pretty similar. But you can, it's a little bit bigger on the Bridgeport. And I actually, to be honest, I actually like the Bridgeport better than both of my Devos. Now, don't get me wrong, I like the way the Devos maybe, you know, I like the way the Tall Boy looks better. Let's say that. I don't know about the Fireball. I love the Fireball. I love the fact that it's a hollow grind and has the camo carbon and the titanium. These both look great, but as far as action is concerned, the action on these is great. The detents are great on them, but you only have the hole. You know, same way on this one. You have the hole and you have the stud, but it's basically still just the same two deployment methods, you know. Because you get the front flipper and the back flipper on this one, I just enjoy it more, you know, but I like fidgeting with my knives a lot. You know, it's basically all I do when I'm riding in the car from job to job is fidget with my knife all day. So like I said, all the deployments on this just are super satisfying. And then you couple that with the fact that it has the great lock bar access. It's just kind of hard to beat, you know. I should have shown you this after I cut the cardboard down, but it came with an amazing edge on it. You know, some Kubis you get and they have a great edge. Other ones you get and they're not quite as good. You know, so it's just, I feel like sometimes it's just the luck of the draw with them. You know, but this one came with a really, really nice edge. Yeah, after I make a big mess here. I don't know, normally I won't put up a review or a video of me talking about a knife until I've carried it for a while, because I just got this today. But I'm going to be very honest about it. Since this thing is still in stock right now and you can actually still go buy it, I thought, man, I better just go ahead and get a video up so that if somebody wants to buy it and sees this, they can actually still go purchase it, you know? Because this thing is just so good. It's just so good that I felt like I had to go ahead and put the video out on it, you know? It's just, I know it's going to be a heavy carrier for me. Especially now that I've seen that the clip works great. You know, and that all the deployments are super nice. And like I said, if you do go to add any tension to the lock bar, you just barely want to move it. Just barely. Like, see where it's lined up after it's bowed out. You know, look at where it is in comparison. And then just barely move it over. There's plenty of videos showing you how to do it if you don't know how. But you just barely move it, put it back together, see how much tension you added to it, and see if that is sufficient for you. Because I barely moved it over, and it made it exactly where I would want it personally. And now it's not drop shut or anything. It's a shake shutter. Just like, you know, the Devos were and still are. But they've gotten way smoother than when I first got them. And I think this one will break in just as good. The bearings are really small inside of here, though. They're very small bearings. I'm not sure what size they are, but they're pretty small. But yeah, that's enough of me ranting and raving about the damn thing. If you've been thinking about picking it up, I would highly recommend it. It's going to be a great user. And I'm thoroughly happy that I picked it up because, like I said, I know I'm going to carry the bejesus out of this thing. And this, like I said, this nice, deep, dark stone acid kind of stonewash look, I feel like is really in, like, right now. You know, a lot of the big knives are, you know, putting out knives that have, you know, that look on them. And it's something people just kind of want right now, you know. It just makes it look like a really nice user, in my opinion. I mean, you might not be into it, but I am, you know. And then, like I said, you just couple that with the good action, the good ergos, the good lock bar access. There's really, I'm trying to think of like what would be a negative on this thing. 3.7 ounces, so it's like it's a nice weight. You know, really the only negative I could have was maybe the detent was just a touch light out of the box, but I think most people would be happy with the detent strength out of the box. I honestly don't have any fucking negative. Maybe I wish it was a hollow grind, but I think that would push the price up a little bit more, or, you know, and it's right on the cusp. I think at 150, I think it's right on the cusp of acceptable for titanium M14C, you know, because Kubies will be like $125 like retail, but you can usually get them for way less than that, especially if you get them at White Mountain Knives, especially if you've been paying attention to their sale recently. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like this is right on the cusp, especially when I look at this build and I consider probably what Bridgeport actually paid to have a 400 count run, 200 of each model made, is what I would guess. You know, I mean, they maybe paid $50 for each one, you know, would be my guess. It could be even less than that, but 50, 60 at the very most. But I would honestly think 50 or maybe a little less than that. Because when you do the math on that at a 400 count run, you know, we're talking about a good chunk of change you got to put down for it. But, you know, so 150 is like the upper reaches of what 14C titanium flat scales, you know, should be getting charged, in my opinion, for a Chinese OEM. But when it's this good and all the deployments works, you know, this well, and it cuts really good, it has a good heat treat on it, you know, it's kind of hard to complain. So, but anyways, there's my thoughts about it. Hope y'all are having a good one.